Is Texas A&M set up for success under head coach Mike Elko?
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. On the show today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk a little bit about the basketball team. They lose at Mississippi State last night. Tough loss. I think kind of the way we broke it down yesterday, what you needed to not happen happened. I think Hubbard outplayed your guy, and we'll get into that, and we'll talk about what that means for the future. But right now, I want to start the show talking about an article and something that we got from JD Piquel over at On3, a guy, really great person in this industry. Really respect his opinion, guy that, just certified understander of ball. He released an article that talks about the 10 programs set up for success over the next 3 years. And, we had a conversation on the show a few month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, month and a half ago, whatever, where we broke down Texas A&M football, where this program is right now as a whole, and what they need to do to get past this hump of, well, Texas A&M recruits well, but they never win football games. The Aggies are trying to get over that hump, and they're trying to become a program that is really respected within this game of college football that we all love. And when it comes to future success, I think that I agree that Texas A&M is a program set up for future success. I don't think you can argue with it. But the reality is I think they've been set up for future success for 5 years now, and they haven't capitalized on it. So I think it's a great, thought. It's a great article. I think I wouldn't say concern. I think the overlying question is they definitely are, but will they succeed? And I think there's a lot of factors that go into that. Those are factors we discuss every day here on the show, whether it's Marcel Reed developing or your secondary improving in year 2 under Coach Elko and all these different things. But the Aggies are in a position right now where, and I think that's kind of the point, is like nothing that we've done this year recruiting was infinitely better than last year, or last year was infinitely better than the year before. It's been pretty consistent elite recruiting for this Texas A&M football program. That's the reality. The recruiting has been top to bottom elite for years. Really since Fisher got to College Station, it's been great. And Coach Elko has done a good job of maintaining that recruiting success. So now you're kind of in a spot, and I call it you're in a prove it position is kind of the way I look at it. You have to go prove it. You have the talent on this roster to go make a playoff. So the 10 schools, I'll go ahead and read you this list. So top 10 programs set up for success over the next 3 years. Number 1 is Texas. Number 2 is Oregon. Number 3 is Georgia. Number 4 is Ohio State. Number 5 is Notre Dame. Number 6 is Michigan. Number 7 is Alabama. Number 8 is LSU. Number 9 is Tennessee. Number 10, last but not least, is the Texas A&M Aggies. So, all of those teams have made, like, this blurb here. And this was within an article within an article is from Aggies Wire. It says 9 of the 10 teams listed have made the college football playoff, while Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, and LSU have won national championships since the college football playoff inception. While the top 8 programs are nationally regarded as blue blood programs, Texas A&M's recruiting success and financial advantage have consistently vaulted the program in similar rankings, even though the Aggies have yet to make the college football playoff while failing to win 10 games since the 1998 season. You haven't won 10 games since 98. You're in a position, you had a chance to do it this year, and kind of, the wheels fell off at the tail end. And, we've discussed that a lot on the show here, but that I think is why some folks that would look at this. So it's funny. I've talked to 2 programs, I've talked to a South Carolina colleague of mine and an Auburn colleague of mine. And both of these folks that work in the media for those 2 programs are incredibly upset that their schools were not listed here. And they're upset and saying, why is Texas A&M listed? Haven't we seen enough of this? They're constantly listed as a top 10 team in college in recruiting rankings and this and that, just to go 8-4, 7-5 every year. When are we going to, kind of just accept that that's who the Aggies are? That is the, I think, pretty national view of this football program. And, I think that knowing what Texas A&M is doing recruiting, you can't not have them on this list. Now, my pushback to those that say that, because, it's hard to disagree. My pushback would be, I think this new regime is going to change things. It's just reality. I really don't like that the collapse that we saw at the end of the year last year. I thought that last season was going to be it. I thought that Texas A&M was going to get over that hump. I thought they were going to win 10 games. I thought they were going to make the playoff last year based off the start. You go and you beat Florida and you beat Missouri and you beat LSU and you're in the spot where we're going, oh man, maybe we're going to be really good and maybe we're going to make the playoff. Maybe we're going to make an SEC championship game. And then you had an opportunity. You had an opportunity to go play your nemesis, your rival in Texas to set up a berth in the SEC championship game, your first one since you've been in this conference, yet you let them win and go to the SEC championship in the first year of them being a member of the SEC. Texas A&M's falling short in these opportunities where they have. And if I'm a program like South Carolina, who's on the come up, and Auburn, who's on the come up, I'd be angry about this too. Because I'd say, what has Texas A&M done that we haven't done? I think that it's a valid argument. So, I'm looking at this, and that's why, to kind of, piggyback off that conversation, like I said, I did have like a month ago, this Texas A&M team has to prove that they are capable of winning 10 football games. I think that needs to be the mark, because I think you win 10 football games, you make the playoff. And now, when I 10 regular season games, so I'm talking about 9-3 and winning the bowl game. You need to win 10 regular season football games. That, I think, is your here we are, Texas A&M is here to stay moment, which I believe is a realistic outcome under Mike Elko. I think he's a darn good football coach, and I think he's going to get Texas A&M there. I believe that. I guess my concern lies with I think my concern lies with, will they do it or not? We know they're going to have the talent to do it. I believe that they have the quarterback to do it even next year. I know that your schedule, we talked about this on the show yesterday. I know your schedule is a tad bit tougher this year than it was last year. I know you're losing 3, day 1 and 2 picks on your defensive line. There's factors against you, but there's a lot of factors for you as well. And I think the Aggies are capable of doing it this year. But once again, and this is where I think a lot of Texas A&M media folks, myself and our friends over at TexAgs and our friends at Aggies Wire and all of our the media of Texas A&M, I think that we consistently look silly because we project this team to be really, really good based off every metric that should tell you a football team is going to be good. And it's just the Texas A&M effectively. They just don't get it done. And until this team gets over that hump, it's going to be really hard to continue, vouching for this team and believing in this team and, predicting victories and all this. It's just going to be hard to do. So I really think that we need to see Texas A&M get there. They need to get over the hump. They need to do it this year. I think they're capable of getting it done, but it's a matter of, and it's bigger than just your coaches and your recruiting. You have to develop a quarterback. You have to get your secondary to not be a sieve. There's a lot of things that can affect this. So I am interested to see what's going to end up happening with the future of this football program. But Texas A&M is in a weird spot right now where they time and time again seem to be I feel like laughing stock's a bad word, but I think it's the word you have to use. It is. I think that, and it frustrates me to have to even say this, but the reality is when the Aggies continue to underdeliver with talent, it makes it hard for people to believe in this program. And Texas A&M needs to put their boot on the ground and say, we're done with this. We are going to make some noise. We're too talented. We have too much NIL money. We have too much stuff to continue to go 8-4 and 7-5. So I think this is the year the Aggies are going to turn things around. I really, really believe it, ladies and gentlemen. I really do. So we will see what's going to happen. We're going to break down the Aggies' loss to the Mississippi State Bulldogs. We're going to break this down, and then we're going to talk about all of the metrics, the KenPom, where we're at in Evan Maya, where we're at in Net, where we're at in Joe Lenardi. We're going to run through all of those metrics. A lot of basketball talk coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at Intuit TurboTax. This is a message from our sponsor, Intuit TurboTax. Texas was dealing with piles of paperwork and frustrating forms, and then waiting and wondering and worrying if we're going to get any money back. Now Taxes is easily uploading your forms to a TurboTax expert who's matched to your unique tax situation. As an expert who's backed by the latest technology, which cross-checks millions of data points for 100% accuracy. While they work on your taxes, you'll get real-time updates on their progress, and you get the most money back guaranteed, all while you go about your day. No stressing, no worrying, no waiting. Now, this is Taxes, Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service, real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. So Texas A&M makes the trip to Starkville and loses to the Mississippi State Bulldogs. I mean, a game. There were a few things I loved to see. There were a few things I didn't love to see. There were a few frustrating parts of this game. And we're going to run through all of it. So the number one key to victory for Texas A&M in this game was Wade Taylor either canceling out Josh Hubbard or outplaying him. I felt that if he canceled him out or outplayed him, that the Aggies would win this game. I felt pretty confident in that. But at the end of the day, that is not what happened. The Aggies made 19 baskets, and 8 of them were threes. I mean, like, when you get 8 3-pointers from this basketball team, 35%, you take that all day long. So you got 11 baskets that weren't 3-pointers. You go 8 from 13 to the free throw line. I mean, your shooting numbers were pretty on par. I mean, not your field goal percentage, but your 3-point percentage and your free throw percentage were pretty on par. But you let Josh Hubbard have a massive, massive game. He goes 6 of 10 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, and the craziest part of his stat line was 10 for 11 at the free throw line. I mean, it's no secret that this is a good Mississippi State team. Mississippi State was absolutely due to win the big game. I mean, listen to their conference play. A big game against Kentucky, they lose. They lose against Auburn. I think that game was without Broom. They do end up beating Ole Miss, which is good for them, because rivalry and all that. They lose to Tennessee. They lose to Alabama. They lose to Missouri. They get rolled by Missouri, for a matter of fact. And they get rolled by Florida. They did proceed to then go beat Ole Miss, so they swept Ole Miss, which is pretty cool. But the point is, Mississippi State, it feels like, besides against their rival Ole Miss, they haven't been able to win the big game this year. They were due to win a game like this. And I mean, we're going to get into SEC tournament, predictions and stuff like that here, probably in a minute or two. But I mean, the reality is Wade Taylor, and I mean, I love Wade Taylor. I believe he is now the all-time scoringest player in Texas A&M program history and all that. I mean, he is a staple of this program. I mean, he really is. He is a staple of the Texas A&M basketball program forever. But he has got to be better than I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, since his field goal percentage since returning from that injury, let's see what it's been. So on the year, he's shooting 36% from the field, which he's never been a high volume field goal, percent shooter. He's never once been above 40%. So his field goal percentage in his recent games, he had the great game against South Carolina, but then it's 35%, 36, 30, 28. I mean, he's just not. And he's also, this is crazy to me too, shooting in his last 4 games. He's shooting an average of, I believe, 35% from 3, which is not terrible. I mean, for the season long, which I read that wrong at first. I thought that's what he was shooting from the free throw line, and I was like, there. So then I had to do a double check. But so no, I mean, the free throws, the 3-point percentage is not terrible. But I mean, Wade Taylor, I think he is who he is. He's going to be a guy that he's going to go out there and he's going to shoot the ball 14 to 18 times, and he's going to make 5 to 8 of those field goals. And, I'd say he's going to make, 2 to 4 in a bad game, 5 to 8 in a decent game, and then, 10 to 12 in a great game. That's just kind of who he is. And I know statistically, he's not having one of his better seasons. This is not all on Wade Taylor. I do not want to act like that, but he's your leader. He's your veteran. He's your star player. And I mean, if this team is going to make a run in the NCAA tournament or in the SEC tournament, Wade Taylor is going to have to be really good. I think that's just the reality. He's going to have to be really, really good. So games like this, it's just going to be hard. I mean, like I said, he was 3 of 8 from 3. I mean, not the worst number ever. And it gives you 4 assists and a few rebounds. I mean, there was some good stuff there. It was good to see another great rebounding game from Anderson Garcia with 10 boards. But, I mean, so it's kind of funny. I mean, you can't even be mad about 10 assists. We only made 19 baskets. Like, you can't be mad at it. We had 17 personal fouls in the game to their 15. There wasn't really a big differential there. And I mean, they only made 22 field goals, which is the funniest part about this. They just really they got 7 more points than you at the free throw line. I mean, the numbers add up. They got 7 more points at the free throw line. They had 1 more 3-pointer. And then a couple, points, a few more baskets. So, I mean, the numbers you did a good job. They only had 5 offensive rebounds to your 11. You did a good thing there. I was fine with that. I think the other interesting stat here is the turnovers. The Aggies in this game turned the ball over 19 times, which turned into 22 points for Mississippi State. They turned it over 11, but we only turned those 11 turnovers into 9 points. So our 19 turnovers turned into 22 points. I mean, that's going to just absolutely – you can't win a game when you turn it over 20 times. I mean, good luck. Like, that's just reality. In this game, the turnovers, you get 7 turnovers from Zurich Phelps. I mean, not a great game from him. Manny Obaski has a bad game shooting it. What if you want to take a positive away, and it's something I've been begging for weeks, Wilcher goes 3 of 5 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, 2 of 3 at the free throw line, and gives you 11 points. I'm telling you, I would play this kid over Manny Obaski. I don't have a ton of y'all that are super dialed in, or at least commenting on basketball. I mean, obviously, you all are listening to me talk about it, but I get, obviously more football comments. Those of you that are, big Aggie basketball fans, am I crazy to say that I want CJ Wilcher playing over Manny Obaski? Tell me if I'm crazy. Because I don't think I am. I think that he's so good. He's the best shooter you have on this roster, and I think you need him in the game. So, ugly loss, get blown out against a good Mississippi State. You weren't playing South Carolina. It's not a bad team, but here's the good news. Number 6 Tennessee's coming to your house on Saturday. So you're going to have an opportunity to redeem yourself in a big, big way against a good basketball team. So you won't have to hang your head long on this one. We're going to talk about some of the rankings and the SEC tournament and all that, and we'll do it coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. So Texas A&M, as we currently sit, has a 9-4 conference record. Missouri still has to play tonight, I believe. Is that right? Yeah, they play Bama tonight. That'll be a good basketball game. Bama's got a tough week. They play Bama tonight. Here's what's scary. That game is scary to me both ways because if Missouri wins, they're tied with you. If Alabama wins, then they kind of are extending on you. I think if you're a Texas A&M fan and you want to be a top 4 seed in the SEC tournament, you can really create some distance if you beat Tennessee on Saturday and Alabama beats Missouri. That would put you significantly ahead of Tennessee. You'd be, a couple games ahead of them then. And you'd be ahead of Missouri. That's what you want to happen, though. And there's only, now 5 games left for us. But so I think that's the reality here. Those are the standings. If I was predicting what's going to happen, I would guess that we'll end up being that 4 seed. And that 4 seed plays the second game of the day on Friday. You'd play the winner of the 5 and the 13, and whoever wins the 13 and 12 game, the winner of that game would play the 5. Whoever wins that game is who you would play. Obviously, if you drop down and you're the 5, you play the winner of the 13 and 12. So I would love to see us be a Friday team in the SEC tournament. That would be great. So let's go take a look at KenPom. Where we sit at in KenPom right now, Texas A&M is 16th overall in KenPom. Your defense is number 5. Your offense is number 52. And we've discussed this. Historically, you would rather be a little bit better defensively than offensively. People like that. But at the same time, you want to be in a position where you're still in that 20 to 30 range. You don't want to be 50. So would love to see this offense continue to improve in the KenPom rankings. Then you go take a look at the net rankings. The Aggies are 16th in the net rankings. Mississippi State loss dropped you a little bit. You are 6-2 in or 7-6, in quad 1 games, which you'll take that. You're playing a lot of them. You're good. You have yet to lose a game that is not a quad 1 game. That's the good news. Losing quad 1 games is what really hurts a team. So you haven't done that. You're putting yourself in a good position there. And then the last thing I want to pull up here is the bracketology. When would that have been updated? There's no real reason to talk about it because where we are is going to change based on, because it was updated yesterday morning, which we obviously have lost a game since then. But heading into the game yesterday, I believe, we were a 2 seed in the West region. It'll be we're probably still a 2 seed, I'd say, especially if you beat Tennessee. But this Texas A&M team is really, really good. They have some things to work on. They have some things to improve. But this team is capable of making a run in the NCAA tournament. They're also capable of winning the SEC tournament. So you just got to finish strong. I think you really want to win this game against Tennessee on Saturday if you are the Aggies. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Aggies. Thank you all so much for being here every single day. Really, really appreciate it. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Aggies.